Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we started a video series looking at the top 5 champion of every class in patch 12.0 in Marvel Contest of Champions. So again, as a bit of a disclaimer, this video is all entirely kind of my thoughts and opinions on the value of certain champions within kind of every class. And then by the time we finished all these videos, hopefully we should have an updated tier list for you to kind of give you a bit more of a broader spectrum of all the champion rankings for both offensive and defensive context. So today we're going to be having a look at the top 5 science. Yesterday we looked at the top 5 mystic, and science is a bit of an interesting class. I feel like a lot of the science champions are very hit and miss. Some of them are amazing and do so much, whereas some of them just don't really have enough to kind of make them champions worth taking over rank 3. So anyway, let's start off with character number 5, who is Electro. Electro is by far one of the most reliable Alliance War defenders in the game. Especially with the nerf to Black Widow kind of reducing the ability to have that constant 100 defensive ability accuracy reduction. So Electro is a really great champion for the very simple reason that opponents attacking into him will take a large amount of damage they inflict as energy damage. So basically it's like a damage return if you don't already know what that is. So yeah, the special attack 1, special attack 2, and special attack 3 also have quite a high chance to stun if you're ever playing this character in an offensive context. So when it comes to arena speed grinding, that's something interesting to bear in mind. And also signature duped ability basically gives him more critical hit rate based on the power level of Electro and also his opponent. So when you have like over 2 bars of power each, then you almost have a 100% chance to crit. However, I believe this has been slightly affected by the patch, so is a little bit less valuable, but Electro still remains as one of the most reliable Alliance War defenders. Plus he has really good base power index, which makes him a really good champion for prestige if you want to rank him up. So yeah, Electro, really solid Alliance War defender. Again, doesn't really have anything too fancy about him, but that solid damage attack return does make him very valuable. Now next up at number 4 we have Spider-Man, who is by far one of the most annoying Alliance War defenders, especially when it comes to unstunnable nodes. Very annoying, especially if you've got a 5-star Awakened Spider-Man and you take him to rank 3, maybe even rank 4, can be a very punishing boss or mini-boss. Just incredibly hard. So many people struggle fighting Spider-Man. It's kind of for 2 core reasons. It's 1 is the evade, and 2 is his special 1 just has so many different components to evade that it's very tricky to consistently nail the evasion on it, unless you are a god tier player. Like, I can sometimes get the evasion on his special 1, but usually we take like a few hits of it. Like, I'm not super great at evading Spider-Man's level 1, but Spider-Man does need to be awake, and that's kind of a big part about the character for Alliance War defense. But in regards to kind of his offensive stuff, and if you're playing this champion, what he doesn't really have too much going for him. He's a little bit of a crit rate boost, has a bit of an armor break, and also has weakness. But to be honest, Spider-Man's main use is just as this crazy good Alliance War defender that is going to have evade active all of the time when he's awakened. So really solid champion for Alliance War defense there. Now at number 3, we're gonna have to go to the 3-star for this because I've yet to obtain this character as a 4-star. It's currently the highest prestige champion for the science class, which is Quake. Quake is such a fun champion to play. Really great animations, really great special attacks, but also has a lot of interesting kind of utility and uses. So the first thing is she takes even less damage while blocking. I don't believe her parries are currently on perfect 0, unless you get maybe up to a really high dupe level. They used to be like that before the patch, but I believe even after the changes, I'm not too sure you can get perfect parries with Quake, but you can get very close to perfect parries now, even closer than Star-Lord. So there's some very interesting stuff she can do there. Maybe has made her duped ability with the new patch a little bit less valuable, but it's still going to be in comparison to an unduped Quake, like having Quake awakened, you're going to take significantly less damage both blocking and parrying, so it's very useful there. Also has kind of these what are they? They're kind of aftershock scale charges. Now you get them via using special attacks and also charging your heavy attack. Now they apply a debuff which basically allows the aftershock scale to go up by 1. And when it is on, I believe it's 4 stacks. Let me just have a quick look through this. Yeah, if it's higher than 4, then it will inflict concussion as well. And also when it ends after 10 seconds, when the aftershock ends, then that basically gives your opponent concussion, and concussion automatically means that Quake is going to evade any basic attacks. And also whenever aftershock ends, you also have a 10% chance to stun the opponent for 1.5 seconds. So there are some very interesting ways that you can play Quake. I've seen quite a lot of skilled gameplay videos of people kind of like dashing back and charging up the heavy attack and just kind of continually doing that, so they never actually have to rely on parrying or blocking. They're just constantly doing that and attacking whenever they have the stun opportunity there, and weaving in some special 2 attacks as well. So Quake, very, very complicated champion to play. There's a very, very high skill cap. Again, even I'm not super savvy at playing Quake, but I've seen some amazing gameplay videos from very talented players. Has very decent damage output as well. Also has a stun on her special free attack if you ever need to kind of resort to that to maybe, you know, counter an opponent using a special free if you're very close to ending the fight. And overall has some really, really solid damage output. And also one of the pros about Quake as well is the ability accuracy mastery that she has with Hawkeye, which grants plus 12% ability accuracy as a 3-star. With a 4-star version, this is an additional 15%, so combined together it's a total of 20% ability accuracy, and ability accuracy is basically the chance for stuff to trigger whenever you hit the opponent. And I think it also increases defensive ability accuracy as well, so could possibly beef up some of the stuff that you know, some of the procs that you take while you're getting hit as well. So I think there's some very interesting potential with that synergy. There's been some speculation as to whether or not that synergy works with Black Widow. I'm not entirely sure. I personally don't believe it works. But, you know, we need to do a little bit of testing. We need to see. But that's possibly something. Again, I don't have a 4-star Quake yet, but she's going to be available in Arena very, very shortly. But if anybody does have any testing videos on that, I'd be very intrigued to kind of find out a little bit more about Quake and how the synergy interacts there with Black Widow, to see if you can get 100% defensive ability accuracy reduction all the time. But I'm not too sure if that would work, but I'm interested to find out. Anyway, let's move on to the top 2, who are top 2, well, by quite a large margin in my opinion. So first up we have Hulk. Let's actually switch to the 4-star champions for this. So Hulk got such a huge buff with the patch in terms of his damage output and also viability. So he gains Fury now when attacking, which gives him like a huge buff to his damage output. It's a 12% chance and lasts for 6 seconds. So the majority of the time you do have this up, and as health is lost, so as his health goes down, the chance to trigger this Fury increases by up to 50%. Hulk is also poison immune, but what makes Hulk so incredibly great at the moment is his special attack chance to stun. So any special attack, Special 1, 2, or 3 has an 85% chance to stun the opponent for 2 seconds, and the duration of the stun increases by 1 second for each Fury effect on the champion. So this is usually just 1 Fury effect, just from when you're hitting the opponent, but if you've got hit or maybe drop below 25%, it might be like potentially like 4 or 5 seconds. However, some very interesting stuff you can do. If it's 3 seconds, you can get a full round of combo off, and then get another one off as well, if you are very quick with tapping those combos there. And also, if it's a bit of a short duration, if you don't have the Fury, you can do kind of a medium, light, medium, and then go for a medium, triple light, medium combo, so you can get 8 hits off on that duration of the stun. And most of the time, that kind of allows you to get to another level 1 again, so you can keep your opponent's stun locked most of the time really, really good. And also, the next 2 things are again, as Hulk's health goes down, you get a huge amount of increased base attack. So your attack goes up by up to 2,000. So that's a really, really significant amount there. That's about 100, it's about 140% of max level of Hulk's base attack based on your lost health. So if you're playing a Hulk kind of around like about anywhere under 50%, you're going to be getting about 1,000% more, sorry, 1,000 more attack. So it's going to significantly increase your damage output. And if you drop below 25%, so you actually need to drop below 25% during that fight. If you start the fight like on 20%, you won't get this buff. You need to be above that threshold and drop drop below, but you gain a massive temporary fury effect for 8 seconds, which will increase your attack by 1,349. So there's some very interesting combos you can do if you time it right, maybe when you're fighting somebody like an Electro or a really stacked enemy that's got some sort of damage back. If you slap down level 2, when you hit 25% with that Fury buff, you are just gonna, you know, deal an incredible amount of damage there. So Hulk, while he doesn't have like a lot of stuff, the stuff that he has is very simple but very effective. Now, at number 1 on the science list, ladies and gentlemen, we of course have Captain America. Captain America, such an incredible champion just due to the fact his block proficiency, that's pretty much it. Has perfect parries. I believe is now the only character with reliable perfect parries in the game without having to be awakened. So yeah, really good champion. Captain America World War II and Captain America Classic. The difference now between them is really significantly less, especially due to the modifications made with base health. So that now healing only scales off base health instead of modified health, and that's one of the reasons classic Captain America was so incredibly bad, is because like willpower was his biggest enemy when it came to Alliance War. I still believe that Captain America World War II, especially if you have deep wounds, overall is a little bit better, a little bit more valuable, especially with that special too. However, there's really not much between them. They both have their slight pros and cons with how their signature ability works. Captain America World War II, to get perfect blocks on a lot of his attacks, relies on the opponent, you know, having some sort of buff always active, whereas the other one increases their chance to perfectly block based on their health at the moment. So as your health goes down, the chance to get a perfect block significantly increases. So yeah, there are pros and cons to both Captain Americas, but I still like the World War II one a little bit better. But kind of the point that I'm trying to convey here is there's really not too much between them, apart from also, I believe the classic Captain America as well has an ever so slightly higher chance to stun, especially when the opponent is affected by their crit damage reduction. Crit chance reduction, that's the one. Has a slightly higher chance to stun, but I still like World War II, so very simple yet effective character. And I think really that is pretty much the slogan for Science Champions. A lot of them are very simple in terms of what they do, apart from Quake. Quake is a bit of a confusing champion for a lot of kind of newer players. Takes a lot of time to kind of master her. And I think as we get a 4-star Quake, because she's going to be in Arena, what is it, after Rogue, so 3 and a bit weeks until Quake is in Arena. Probably going to spend a lot more time learning how to use that character, but from some of the gameplay videos I've seen, it looks absolutely amazing. And also one of the really big pros about also Quake and Captain America is that map 6 in Alliance Quest no longer has the block proficiency degeneration, which brought it down to kind of the average level of all the other characters. So now these champions that have really strong block can also be really viable options when it comes to running map 6 in Alliance Quest. So that's a bit of an interesting change there as well, which is further up the value of Captain America if he didn't, you know, as if he didn't need more value. Already an incredible champion. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on the top 5 science characters at the moment. The science class has a lot going for it. I also want to cover, you know, some potential shout outs for awesome champions. I think Abomination can be really good if you tactically place him in Alliance War Defense. On nodes where you believe like a Star-Lord or Captain America is going to attack into. Also might potentially be, I wouldn't say he's like super great for countering a Black Widow. I'd say a lot of the mutant champions are better, but I think Abomination's value has gone up a little bit in terms of an Alliance War Defender. I think he's pretty solid for that. Yellow Jacket as well. I think Yellow Jacket, if you've got him awakened as a 5-star, like even unawakened as a 5-star, is a pretty solid champion to pull really good damage output. Kind of also having that stun or take a load of damage makes him potentially a really good Alliance War Defender on unblockable nodes, because if somebody can't perfectly evade one of your specials, then they get punished really hard for that. So yeah, I really like Yellow Jacket as well. Good character. He might be number 6. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to also Rhino and Miles Morales. So Rhino, if you've got him awakened, especially as a 5-star, such a tanky defender, the unstoppable charge as well makes him very, very difficult to fight for a lot of people, as he often just breaks through kind of blocking and parries there. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff there with Rhino. Plus, it's such a tanky champion. So a lot of people do struggle with him, and Alliance War, especially when he's beefed up quite a bit. I like Rhino quite a lot as a defender, but there are potentially better options. And then finally we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, so really, really annoying champion. Again, very much like Spider-Man to fight. However, Spider-Man Miles Morales, his specials are kind of easier to deal with in comparison to the classic version of Spider-Man, and the fact that he has evade charges instead of evade all the time makes him a little bit less valuable in comparison, in my opinion. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the top 5 science champions. Hope you enjoyed this video and insight. A lot of really, really good stuff with the science class. Really good class, bit hit and miss there, but overall solid class, a lot of good champions in it. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.